This is the face of the most hated man in Britain. Is he some kind of criminal? Sure could be, with them little beady shark eyes with no sign of life behind them. But no, it's our Prime Minister, our new Prime Minister of a little over 2 months, who's managed to make himself the most hated man in the UK, with some very silly 2-tier justice, 2-tier policing, and now we've got the 2-tier NHS as well, with Jess Phillips. Yeah, that's just great. But back to Starmer. Keir Starmer is a weak man, and a weak man is a dangerous man. You can tell just by looking at him that he isn't in it because he thinks he can be a good Prime Minister, a good leader. He's there because he enjoys the power. He enjoys the power over the little people, which is why he always likes to belittle the little people's concerns. If you got a problem with uncontrolled immigration, then have a guess what? Oh, you're far right. If you got a problem with looking around and noticing that the country that you grew up in is no longer the country that you live in, have a guess what? You're far right. And if you can look at the news and see little old grannies and old men being put in jail for voicing their concerns on Facebook, then you're a bigot and criminal, and they'll send the police round for you. Punched armed police officers in the face at an airport, and have a guess what? Oh, well, they're the victim. If you're a Labour MP and you call for people to have their necks opened up, shall we call it, well, have a guess what? You're gonna be out walking around. No trial and sentence within 3 days for you. Oh no, you can walk around. Have a guess what? If you got pictures of unspeakable things with kids on your PC, well, have a guess what? They'll let you off because that's not far right crime, is it? And this from the man who used to be the head of public prosecution. But we know where he stands, though, because he had a chance to lock in Savile up, but he did. And this is why I'll call him a weak man, because he did what was easy, and he didn't do what was right, because somehow Jimmy Savile was like a mobster boss or something. He was that well connected that he had all these kind of people in fear that nobody wanted to touch the case, which is why he did the easy thing and not the hard thing, just like he's doing now by blaming the far right. Everything's the far right, because it's easy to blame these mythical far right people, instead of turning around and saying we've got a problem. We've got a problem with integration. We've got communities that want nothing to do with everybody else around them. We've got gangs of kids going around stabbing each other and stabbing other people as well. And why? Because it's easier just to do nothing about them. It's easy just to ignore the problem. Blame the last government for it. Like he's doing right now, blaming the last government. Yeah, the last government was absolutely shite, just like all governments have been for many years. But people also forget that the last Labour government left a note saying, ha ha ha, there's no money left. And these are the people who are in charge. It sounds like a bunch of kids. Is this really the best we can do? These people are supposed to be well-educated people, and yet they act like 5-year-olds. They do things that the average person can look at and go, well, that's just stupid. That's dumb. Parliament's supposed to be a representation of its people. I see no representation. I see no average man or woman in there. They're just a bunch of rich people who've never had a real problem in their life, who've never walked these streets, never been to your town, never been to your city, been to your village. And that's why they don't care, because they live in their world, you live in your world, and the two can never collide. But it's about time we started having some politicians with some real life experience that can represent the people from the towns that they're supposed to represent, not these snobs. But we do also have to look in the mirror, because we allowed them to get this far, to get this much power, to take it away from us. The Labour Party used to be a party for the working man, woman. It hasn't been that for a good many decades now. And we all allowed it to happen. It's time for a new party, something that represents us all. Maybe that's reform. I doubt it, but we've got to try something to break this two-party monopoly. Because, let's just be honest, they're basically the same party. Can reform change this two-party monopoly? I don't know. What do you think?